Hello. The meeting will come to order. Would you please be seated? Please get your box lunches and please be seated. Okay, excuse me. Once again,
Well, excuse me, where I was walking in the hallway towards the office when I felt a shift like that. And I was wondering what's going on. Then I saw a parent at the end of the hallway say, run, run. Child started running. So what is going on? And then my coworker said, turn on the TV, Kelly, turn on the TV. And I looked at that, and it was quite an eyesore, something in your mind that you never forget. On that day, I was working at Lecky Elementary School, which is by Golden Air Force Base. On that day, we lost a teacher, a student. It was his very first plane ride. We lost a teacher, a student, and 2 parents. So it just helped me realize how important it is to be alive. That will be a day we'll never forget. And also, that is 9/11 is significant too to me because it's my mother's 96th birthday today. And I got the tip when she said, I don't want to celebrate. I said, yes, you are. Birthdays are about living life. And on that note, I'm going to share a prayer with you. It's called Start the Day Right. Let's bow our heads. Lord, I thank you for the gift of this day. This is the day that you have made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. I thank you, Lord, that your mercy and grace are new every morning. I rejoice because I am your child. I have been filled with your spirit. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Lord, you are bigger than any problem, any obstacle, any calamity or challenge that lies before us. Lord, we thank you for the wonderful gift that you have provided and given us this day. Our gift back to you is what we do with this day for your glory. Help us to honor you in all that we do today. We acknowledge you and lift you up today. Therefore, you have promised to direct our steps to order our life. Let others see in you us today, and let our words minister grace to all who hear them. Help us to be a blessing to the people around us, and help us to be a beacon of light, hope, and encouragement. In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Teresa. The AARP members in DC, and AARP is the largest membership organization in the country. There are 7 local chapters. We are one of them. There is 2 to the river. To be a member of AARP, there's no age requirement. Even though AARP deals with issues facing those who are 50 and older, anyone can join. To be a member of this chapter, the dues are $15 a year. And if you wish to be a member, please see me after the meeting. You can join as many chapters as you want. We just want you to join this one. And okay, so we'll have the minutes from our secretary, Katie Shepherd.
Good afternoon. You can do better than that. God has been good. He lets you to be here today. Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, that's so much better. I love your God praise. I'm going to read the highlights from our last meeting, which was August the 14th here at the Common Science Wellness Center. Our meeting was called to order 12 noon by AARP Chapter 4870 President Philip Pennell at the Common Heights Wellness Center. Reflection to prayer by Vice President Charles Turner. Our speakers for that day are Lewis Davis Jr., AARP, DC Executive Director, Inspector Michael Jr., MPD 7 District, Courtney Williams, Community Navigator for MedStar Washington Hospital Center. Also, Gilbert Bobo, Chairman of the DC Commission on Aging. We had greetings from William Richard, Director of the Congress Heights Senior Wellness Center. We had greetings and remarks from Ronald Hampton, the DC AARP State President, Senior Focus Group for Technology. He also will bring a survey to this meeting, and he expressed emphasis on working with the Democratic Party. Inspector Michael Jones, 7th District, gave a Ward 8 police community update. He gave stats on homicide, which he stated was down 43%, and robberies down 37%. There were no stats on carjacking. Bill asked if 7th District had a stat rating of police community performance in Ward 8, which there were none. Lewis Davis Jr., AARP DC Director, did a brief overview on the mayor's program of Vision Zero and highway safety for seniors and residents on how to reshape our traffic safety rules to make it safer to walk, bike, ride, and drive in our city. Courtney Williams, Community Navigator at MedStar, spoke on the prevention of colon cancer by getting the colonoscopy screening, and the city's highest numbers are in Ward 5, 7, and 8. He stated that screening should begin at age 50. He also bought screening kits. Bill Bobo, Chairman of the DC Commission on Aging, spoke about needed volunteers to join the commission, especially from Ward 8. The commission is designed for 15 members. He also said that there are no senior daycare facilities east of the river, no rehabilitation center, and no extended health care facility east of the river. Phil stated that all across America, it's difficult to get seniors to volunteer for free. AARP Vice President Charles Turner asked for an application to apply for the Commission on Aging. Then we had announcements from Tina Minor, Mayor's Office on Women Policy, who arrived late at the meeting but gave a brief statement. Also announced was a back to school at August 25th at the Lee High School. Closing prayer was given by Michael St. Andrews. The meeting was adjourned at 1:45 p.m. Submitted by Katie Shepherd, and I thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Kay. Is there a motion to accept the minutes? Read. Second, all those in favor say aye. We have been really blessed to give the meeting here at this wonderful center. And we have greetings from the director, Mr. William Ritchie. We will be able to come back.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, as I said, I'm William Ritchie, Director of Senior Services for the Far Southeast County Criminal Collaborative. They provide administrative oversight for the center as well. So I bring you greetings on behalf of Beyond once again our director, as well as Eastbrook Family Strength that's made best. That's who our partnership. So welcome. I do want to point out that this is, for those who don't know, most of you should know, this is a DACO Department of Aging funded program for DC seniors 60 and over. So I want to encourage and ask you all to join up, sign up if you haven't already. For DC residents 60 and over, don't come in and leave without filling out membership pack. Okay, take advantage of one. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Doesn't he do a wonderful job out there for the community?
We love Mr. Ricky.
Next, we're going to have greetings from the president of the state president of AARPGC, Ronald Hammond. Yeah.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It's always a pleasure to come over here. Matter of fact, I'm right down the street in South Carolina. It's always easy to make this speech. To make this speech. So greetings to everyone. This couldn't be a more important meeting in terms of the issue that you all are getting a chance to talk about this afternoon. I wanted to just say two things, Bill. One, if you're not a member of AARP, please consider joining AARP and joining this chapter. This is one of very active chapters. So that's why I always try to make sure that I can. And lastly, again, just the emphasis on how important it is to raise your voice and to be in November or before November to cast your vote. This is going to be a very important need. There's statistical information that talk about that seniors have decisions on the elections that are made by seniors. So we have to live up to what we've been doing in the past and the expectations. So thank you. Have a good meeting. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, President Hampton. Just want to point out that our Vice President is here, Charles Turner. Our treasurer is here today, so we will not have a president's report. I'm going to give my president's report, which is going to be very, very short. I'm just inviting you to some events this month. On September the 29th will be Men's Day at a Covenant Baptist United Church of Christ, happens to be my church. And after the service, the Men's Day service will be at 10 o'clock. And after the service, I will be hosting a luncheon in the fellowship hall in celebration of my 74th birthday. So I invite all of you to come to both the service and the luncheon. Just don't come for food, right? And if you'd like to be spiritually fed before the luncheon, please come from the service. And during the luncheon, we're going to have an excerpt from the latest production done by Ward H's own Children's Legacy Theater, which is doing an original production called Break Every Chain, which is about the impact that opioids, particularly fentanyl, are having on our community. Here in Ward 8, there are actually more overdose deaths than there are homicides. So please come out that day and be spiritually fed, physically fed, and creatively fed by the children at Covenant Baptist United Church of Christ. And then after my luncheon, for those who are into a little libation, you can meet me at the Players Lounge. And hopefully all of you will be so spiritually fortified by being at Covenant that there should be no temptation that will affect you when we get to a Players Lounge. Next month, for our regular meeting on October the 9th, we will not be here, but we will be at the Kingdom Care Senior Village here in Ward 8, which is located at the Greater Fellowship of Full Gospel Baptist Church at 814 Alabama Avenue. We will return here in November, but our December meeting, which is the second Wednesday of December 11th, we will be at the Anacostia Community Museum. That's where we will have our luncheon meeting that day. The director of the museum will be giving us a presentation about that wonderful jewel we have in this community. It's a branch of the Smithsonian, and it's the only community museum in the country that is affiliated with the Smithsonian. So come on out that day on December the 11th, and after luncheon, we'll have a guided tour.
Oh, yes, this was the reason that initially he was the one who was complaining about.
What is that? Okay, all right. Okay. Now we're going to go into our candidate forum. We know that there's a very important election coming up next November. How many of you celebrated the debate last night? Okay. How many of you enjoyed the debate last night? Okay, that's wonderful. Yeah. I'm just sharing something very personal for me. The debate meant a lot to me because Donald Trump and I went to the same undergraduate university. At least, at Fordham University, he was there for 2 years, transferred to the University of Pennsylvania. So Donald Trump and I are fellow alumni. And I went to Howard University Graduate School, and we know Vice President Harris went there. So I was actually watching two of my fellow alumni debate. So it was quite special for me. All right, now we're going to move into our candidates forum, and before we move into to hear from candidates, I'm going to bring forth Ms. Toby Horn, who is a volunteer with the League of Women Voters of DC, who is going to do a very brief infomercial from the League. I want you to know that I am a dues-paying member of the League of Women Voters. So thank you.
Member of the AARP.
All right. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everybody. I'm a volunteer with this all-volunteer organization. We are a nonpartisan group that encourages voting, that provides as much information as we can to groups that we're able to visit. And I would also like to encourage the candidates to go back on the site. We did send notices to all the candidates to please put your platform information on there. If the site is clear right now from all the primary information, so we would greatly appreciate if you would post your information for the general election. I'm going to give each of you a card. And I did want to say hi to Mr. Branch. I had the honor of being kept in line by him for several years at the Loop. And I'm very happy to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. When you were at the Loop being kept in line by Mr. Branch, was that as a student or I guess a member of the staff?
I like to switch the words, man. Switch the words.
Okay.
Well, he was a classmate of several times.
Okay. All right. When we had our candidates forum here for the June primary, our moderator was Alex Comer, the loose lips reporter for the Washington City paper.
Who is that?
Alex Comer. Yeah, and people so thoroughly enjoyed him that he's back today to do an encore performance. So I give you our moderator and reporter Alex Comer.
Wow, well, thank you so much for the flattery. I am indeed Alex Kova at Washington City Paper. It is great to be back with all of you here at the Great Ward 8. Just a quick plug for us. We cover local politics, arts, news, and culture in the city. So if you're looking for news about DC, please head over to WashingtonCityPaper.com. We're no longer in print, but that doesn't mean that we're not doing our best to keep you abreast of what's going on with our very important November elections coming up this year. So, just to go over the ground rules of this forum for the benefit of our candidates as well as our audience, you should have all received the rules, but the basics are pretty simple. We are going to go in order as candidates appear on the ballot. We are going to cover as many races as we can, and it seems like we've got a lot of candidates here, so we're going to move as quickly as we can through some of these. We're going to have a 2-minute opening statement from each of our candidates so people can get to know who you are, and you'll have 1 minute for a closing statement at the end of things as well. I'm going to try my best to get out of the way here and give the audience a chance to ask questions. So please start thinking about them. The candidates will have 1 minute to answer each one of those. If we need to do rebuttals in instances where we have multiple candidates up at the same time, we will. And we'll try to keep you all in line. I trust you'll all be on your best with the AARP. So, without any further ado, I'm going to move us into our first round of candidates. Can I get any candidates who are here running for delegate to the U.S. Congress? Do we have anybody here? I'm seeing one. In that case, come on up to the front if you're running. Otherwise, we're going to move on up to the next candidate. You might be alone. I'm not seeing alone for you. Oh, there it is. She's available.
Mr. Ritchie has an announcement to make.
Oh.
So the candidate.
Well, I don't need a mic. I just want to remind the candidates, please remember you cannot campaign while you're here.
And Amari's about timekeeper.
Oh, yes. For our candidates, just watch Amari right here. He will give you a notice of your time is down.
Right there. That's our timekeeper. I got him.
All right. Yes. All right. Can you repeat that again?
Sorry, what do you need?
Repeat that again.
Oh, okay. So we've got our timekeeper up front. He's going to be keeping track of things. Campaign. What our folks needed to know here at the rec center is to not be campaigning on the site itself. You will just have to hear from them as part of our candidates. So I'll be on your best behavior. So we've lost one of our two candidates, but I will give you a moment to just say quickly. I believe Eleanor Holmes Norton, our current delegate to Congress, our Democrat who is on the ballot again, sends her regrets. I don't believe she can make it, but we will be having, nonetheless, two of our other candidates, Simone Freeman and Myrtle, I have forgotten your last name, Myrtle Alexander, who is running on the Republican. I guess maybe the best thing to do is to just get things started while Simone gets settled. Myrtle, you're going to get the chance to do your opening statement first. You got 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me in the back? No? Patrick. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Michael Alexander. And I want to say thank you for inviting me here today with Mr. Philip Canal and AARP and everyone here. I stand before you in the capacity of the GOP nominee, as the candidate for the DC delegate to the House of Representatives. And as we assemble here, I just want to let you know who I am. I am a Jamaican British American, and I was born in the beautiful island of Jamaica, left 7 months old, and emigrated to the UK with my parents, and then as a teenager came to the US. So I've been in this country a few decades, one would say, so let's not go into that. But I'm here in Washington, D.C. now going on 7 years. I've been in Miami for 28 years. I went abroad back to Europe in Switzerland to do my PhD. I stand before you as an economist and an educator. If I'm talking too fast, please let me know. I'm also a professor. So, I wanted to bring to the table 5 points or 5 areas of interest. As I've been out on the campaign trail and I've met with a number of seniors, there are 5 elements that are really stand out to me. The first one is housing. The second one is healthcare. The third one is relationship. The fourth one is financial, and the fifth one is security. So I'm not sure how this forum runs. If I present what I'd like to bring problems with solutions, and then to be able to get feedback. So when it comes to housing, I'm hearing a lot about the housing deficiencies that are here in Washington D.C. for seniors. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that because I have a problem with that. So I want to be able to address each and every one of those issues. I think my time is up. And so I just wanted to let you know where I am on as the delegate, the DC delegate candidate.
Thank you very much, Myrtle. Moving on to Timon Freeman from the statehood green ticket. You got 2 minutes.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Timon Freeman, and the Black Man Therapy represents Street Act Radio. Some of y'all do not know me. I founded the Black Love Festival. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary in 2022. It was the largest annual, it was the largest event of the 40-part summer series. And now I'm also co-founder of We Act Radio on the South. I'm not here to convince anyone that our distinguished Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes should pass the torch just like Joe Biden had a good sense of Harris. I think we all know that at some point you should. Well, I'm here to tell you something you don't know. Raise your hand if you know you have lost a loved one to gun violence. Only one. Only two. I need some truth tellers in the house. Raise your hand if you have a loved one who was incarcerated. That's still a very low percentage for Black people in Washington, D.C. I'm glad to hear that if that's the case. But something you may not know is that Eleanor Holmes Norton spearheaded the closing of Lorton. And what did that have on the effect it have on the community? When you close Lorton, our loved ones were shipped all over the country in America, no longer having access to their loved ones. She tried to correct her error 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and tried to start legislation where you had to have inmates from D.C. within 250 miles. A 250-mile radius of Washington, D.C. is from New York to North Carolina. She understands the problem, but still the damage is done. How many of y'all did not know that D.C. is the most dangerous city in all of America for a Black woman to give birth? That should be unacceptable. How is it possible that a democratically ran city with Black women in charge have disregard Black women's lives? We should find things unacceptable, not just how we feel about people individually. We're here to change the system. And if you're not here to change the system, you are here to support that system. And I'm here asking for you to give us the opportunity to take the keys and drive this car in a different direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Timon. Okay, so moving now to our questions. I think that if Delegate Norton were here, she would probably be saying, the reason she's running again is because she's represented DC in Congress for many years. She's done her best to, bring DC resources to represent us well on the Hill, to combat federal overreach into DC affairs. But the two of you are running to replace her. So I guess what I'm curious about, and you're going to have 1 minute to tell me, is what would you do differently? How would you approach this job and do it better than Eleanor Holmes Norton? Why should the voters out here pick you instead of her? We are going to start with you, Myrtle. You've got 1 minute.
Thank you. So what would I do differently? Well, I would do a lot of things differently. First of all, I would have an open door access for all of our constituents across DC. That does not happen right now. There's many times that I've been on the Hill and I've not been able to visit with Eleanor Holmes once in the 7 years that I've been. And I think if that's for me, then it has to be for most that are here. I've invited many people to the Hill to meet with me and have never seen Capitol Hill, from children to adults. This is DC. You live here. This is our city. How can you not? Not even on a field trip. So there's many things. There's many things across the board. Education. Why is it that we're at the bottom of the totem pole, but one, which is Puerto Rico, as a city, as the federal city? It's appalling. When we look at housing, why do we have homeless? That makes no sense. We have 75 housing projects here in DC, and half of them are vacant. Make it make sense. So there's a lot of things. That's where I'd like to start. And quite frankly, there's much more to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Myrtle. No.
The definition of insanity is doing the same exact thing over and over, expecting a different outcome. For 35 years, she's doing the same thing. To Eleanor Holmes Norton's defense, she is not here because she's at the CBC. She's on a panel called Unpacking the Impact of Assessing School Boundaries and Student Academic Progress. But the CBC itself is 90% party and 10% business. If you go to the CBC panel right now, I guarantee you don't find a seat.
I just want to know what you will be able to do that she's not going to be able to do. And I'm not talking about statehood.
Okay, so how are you going to build relationships with other folks in Congress to tackle the issues? Kimon, we'll start with you. You got it.
Okay. I have no interest whatsoever in making friends on Capitol Hill. We have no friends. We only have permanent interests. Okay.
Okay.
That's out there because making friends has gotten us where we are. Okay. Did you know that DC pays more income taxes per capita than anyone else in this country? So the choice is yours. If you had to choose, would it be DC statehood or no federal income taxes? Raise your hand. Statehood. Raise your hand. All right. Federal income taxes. Raise your hand. So either you give us the self-determination and the vote that we deserve, or we keep our federal income taxes like Guam, Puerto Rico, and all the other non-voting delegates does. Why are we special? Maybe because they know statehood would tip the balance of power in this country. So until they make the right decision, we should keep our money. And that is what I would be doing different. I don't have any friends, or we only have public interest. I'm here to represent your interests.
All right, thank you, Kimon. Myrtle, on building relationships with Congress.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that you really picked up on my statement presentation where I did present the fact that it would be no taxes in DC, not federal, not income, not sales, period. And that's how we should be in Washington, D.C. as the nation's capital. A second point, as an economist, when it comes to money and when it comes to what you do differently, right now, DC government only taps into less than a third of what they're entitled to from Congress. Well, I want all 100% of what we're entitled to. So we would go from potentially $6 billion to $20 billion. That's what we need to look at. Why are these things not happening? Why are we not being represented by Eleanor Holmes Norton in this regard? We are bleeding. We are struggling and we are suffering. So we need to look at what's going on. I do have many colleagues on the Hill. I literally just spent the last few weeks or over the summer going from office to office. I think maybe I have a dozen left to go, but I've been there. I've been there for years, and I meet with them on a regular basis. So I would continue to build relationship and to make sure that DC gets the results they need. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Myrtle. Time for one more question. One more question for our delegate candidates. I mean, I can get you a mic.
Why is it that all of a sudden you guys come to us when it's election time, not before anything else goes on? That's my question to all of you. Because when we need housing, when we need help for anything else, as far as for the children, we don't see you guys. No. For medicine, we don't see you guys. For transportation, we don't see you guys. But all of a sudden, when it's election time, then y'all show up for us because you all want our votes. And that's not right. That is not right at all.
All right, well, let's give our candidates a chance to answer that. Myrtle, why don't you tackle first how we can build relationships besides just election time? You got a minute.
Thank you. Ma'am, may I ask what church you go to?
What church? You can tell Baptist church.
You need to, I've been to your church. Okay. I may not have met you, but I've been to most, if not all of the churches, because there are so many in DC. I've been doing this since January, and I have not missed a Sunday, but two, when I was out of the city. So yes, I have been out. I have helped people, maybe not seniors, but people have come to me with housing problems. They have copied me on their emails and they get housing within a month. Yes, I have fed people that have been homeless that have called my phone. Everyone that knows me gets access to my number. They can call me day or night. So I have done as much as I can do. I may not have reached you, but I'm here now. Okay? So whatever I can help you with, as I stated, I've been talking to a number of people, a number of seniors, and the 5 points, housing, healthcare, relationship, where we have grandparents and great grandparents that are taking care of children, they don't have those resources. These are the things that I'd like to expand on. So forgive me for not meeting you personally, but I'm here now.
Okay.
Okay, Ramon, give you a minute on the same topic.
What is your name, ma'am?
My name is Connie Johnson.
Miss Connie Johnson, I want to thank you for speaking truth right here, right now. We have to get away from being polite. There are a lot of problems we need to deal with. But let me just say this. Me and Stephen Wonder share the same birthday. And Stephen Wonder has a song called Big Brother. And then Big Brother, he says, I live in the ghetto. You just come visit me on election time.
Amen.
So you are very right in what you're saying. But I would urge you to do your homework and to find out what I have done. I have, yes, ma'am. The Black Love Festival, yes, ma'am. Okay. The Black Love Festival celebrated its 25th anniversary in 2022. We did 15 festivals in that time period. 6 years, we were the largest annual AIDS mobilization in this city when DC had 12 times the national AIDS infection rate, which was a direct result of the lack of self-determination in statehood. Also, we at Grado's been here for 13 years when they said I was crazy to invest in Anacostia before the gentrification. And we at Grado has an illustrious record, including spearheading the Don't Leave DC campaign, also the Douglas Community Land Trust to address the displacement. And my business partner that funds We at Grado is the executive director of Social Security Works that protects Social Security from the collection of privatization and republic. So please, my name is Timon Freeman. Google is your friend, and she is right. We live in the ghetto, and they only come here on election time.
And I'm going to say this.
Okay.
I apologize. I do apologize. And it might not be right. But the fact is, you guys come here to us when it's election time. Only.
Not talking to me.
No, not directly. Not directly. But I'm speaking to the candidates. Okay. And these so-called candidates. Because nobody else is speaking. I'm going to speak. I'm going to speak because I feel that's our right, especially being an elder.
Well, thank you, Connie. But let's give our chance at the end of this, to close things out. We got 1 minute for their closing statements. Timon, we will start with you. You've got 1 minute to close things out.
Sometimes telling the truth can get you in trouble. And the truth is, our beloved Eleanor Holmes Norton, 87 years, is the same age as Ruth Bader Ginsburg. The choice we have in this election is either we vote for her to pass the torch, like Joe Biden had the good sense to do for Ms. Harris, or we allow her to transition in office like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and you see what that got us on the Supreme Court. Her body being carried out of Congress is not helping any of the issues that's important to us and is facing our community. It is time for us to make sure that we are represented. We should give her flowers, thank her for her years of service, and honor her, and not wait till she's gone to do so. Let's do something different this election, November 5th. And I ask you for your vote. DC Statehood Green Party. And the question is, would the bougie Negroes in Washington, D.C. step out of the Democratic Party for a moment to vote for a third party candidate to get things done? Because both parties are two wings of the same bird, too often. Thank you. Freeman4congress.com. Freeman, the number 4congress.com. With all due respect.
Thank you, Timon. Myrtle, 1 minute to close things out.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So what would I do? As I close out, I just like to say that we have too many things at stake. We have our children that are dying daily in the city. We have a police force that is underserved and that underrepresented. We have a shortage of over 5,000 police officers that don't even have access to tasers. I was at the vigil last week for Justin Robinson, and my heart bleeds. My heart bleeds every time I have to show up for something like this, and I do show up as often as I can. And it's generational. We have generational decline in this city, 5 generations. Illiteracy, financial, housing, health, so many disparities. How can you be in office for 34 years and still have the problems that we have today? As the GOP nominee, I am here and I can guarantee you, when my president, Trump, says, and I know you probably don't want to hear it, no taxes for seniors, no taxes on tips, he's talking to us. Believe it or believe it not, but he's talking to us. So I am asking for your vote. Myrtle, like the beach, the number 4, congress.com. That's who I am.
Thank you very much, Myrtle. We're going to move to our next round of candidates, so give it up for our candidates for delegate. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to our at-large candidates for our at-large races or their representatives can come on up. There are, of course, 2 spots on the ballot for your at-large council member this time. Come up, John, for at-large council member this year. One of them is a Democrat, Robert White, who can't be with us here today. However, he does have a representative. And we do have a statement as well from one of our other absent candidates. So we're going to take care of that with our opening statements all at once. Christina, we'll start with you, move on to Robert, and then to Derek. So Christina, you got 2 minutes to kick things off.
Awesome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christina Henderson. I'm one of your current at-large council members, and I'm running for re-election. I currently chair the Committee on Health, and so I've had the opportunity, I've toured all of the City Wellness Center, so I might have seen some of you before in the work that we have done on lots of different things. So first, improving access to healthcare, which has been a pillar of the work that I've done over the last 4 years at the council. We're overseeing the construction of the new Cedar Hill Regional Medical Center in Ward 8, but also how do we improve the access for provider coverage in the district, especially east of the river. So for the other things beyond the ER, the dentist, the ophthalmologist, the optometrist, and all of the other providers, just how we expand on that work. Another issue that I've been working on that I'll continue to work on is on transportation. I currently chair the Regional Transportation Planning Committee, and so we've done a lot of work around traffic safety. A lot of people don't realize that the highest number of traffic fatalities have happened in Ward 7 and 8. And so we have really been trying to move, or I have been trying to move, less on the enforcement, but how do we change the infrastructure around some of our schools, rec centers, libraries, senior centers, etc., so that folks can live and walk without fear of getting hit by a vehicle, but also have opportunity to use public transit to get around. And so we're working to save WMATA as well. Another issue that I've worked on, I'll continue to work on, is around public safety issues. I've done a lot of work to try to improve 911, as well as how do we address the issue of our tweens. These are 11 to 13-year-olds who think they're cool for DPR, but they are not old enough to work. So I worked with the Department of Employment Services to be able to do some programming to engage those young people in a productive manner as opposed to having them out on the streets. But I look forward to discussing more of the issues, and thank you so much for the invitation to join you all.
Thank you, Christina. Our fine stand-in for your other at-large council member, Robert White.
My name is John. I live in Adams Morgan, but I'm an AARP member, and as Philip knows, a proud member of the Anacostia Coordinating Council. Robert asked me to read this statement, so appreciate your patience. My name is Robert White, and I'm one of your at-large council members, and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you, Philip, and Chapter 4870 for letting me send this statement. I'm teaching a law school class today, and this conflicted with your meeting. I am a proud fifth-generation Washingtonian. I grew up in a single-parent family that didn't have much money. I remember my roots, and those roots inform my policies on housing and public safety. My wife and I listened to gunshots and wondered how close the bullets were coming to our home. Also troubling was when our daughter's school said children would no longer be allowed to play outside for fear that they'd be hurt by neighborhood gunfire. To stop this epidemic of gun violence, I've worked to make sure all 911 calls are answered, promptly and correctly. I've also worked to make sure that DC's crime lab provides the support that detectives and prosecutors need. With respect to housing, there's only one difference between homeless and members of my family. In my family, someone always had a couch that we could crash on. When homeless people lack this kind of family support, government must step in. I'd like to end with my Aunt Juanita, who still lives in her home on Morris Road. She bought the place when a working family still could afford DC. She's the exception. Most of my family, including my father, have been priced out of the city. Everyone from DC should be able to stay in DC. My name is Robert White. I know my roots, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. And now we've got Phil to read you a statement from one of our other candidates, Daryl Mock, on the statehood green ticket.
Thank you, Alex. This is from Daryl Mock, who couldn't be here because he's working. He says, please note, as a care provider for my disabled septuagenarian mom, and long before the issues impacting our elders have been a part of my work, from whole person health, mental health, resource availability, accessibility, as well as equality of life. I hope to be a consistent voice, advocate, and partner for all of DC residents, and in particular, seniors and elders. Respectfully, Daryl.
Thank you, Phil. Yeah, Daryl. Well, Christina, it's the two of us now. I'll start by asking you questions. You got 1 minute for this one. Obviously, we're here in Ward 8. I don't think there's a person in this room that is not familiar with the federal bribery charges against the council member representing us here, Crayon White. All the at-large council members, including yourself, have said during this difficult time, a time of great uncertainty, that you are going to do your best to represent the ward and fill in the gaps where he struggles. So I would love for you to tell all of us here, either what have you already been doing to try and fill these gaps, what do you plan to do, how are you going to help make sure that the folks here still receive full representation on the council?
Well, I think the number one thing to always remind folks is that you don't, sorry. Okay. You don't have one council member. You've always had 5, actually 6, if you include all 5 of the at-large council members, including the chairman of the council. And so I've been doing a lot of work in Ward 8. I may not be the first call that folks make on constituent services, but all of our offices are open and available to each and every one of you. And I've had a number of folks that we have worked with specifically on the healthcare issues, because that's the committee for which I chair, the healthcare committee. Phil talked about earlier, one of the issues that is plaguing the community, and it's an issue that is near and dear that I've worked on, is around substance use disorder. Most people didn't realize, and still don't realize, that DC is #1 in the country for overdoses. And when we talk about overdoses in the district, it's not prescription drugs, it's fentanyl. And our age group here is actually quite different, because it's really affecting Black men between the ages of 41 to 59. And so we have provided some additional funding. We've done substance use outreach, targeted outreach grants to have folks on the ground. We've expanded to Ward 8. We have in Ward 6, Ward 5, Ward 1 as well. And so that's just one of the many issues. But I just want to encourage folks and remind folks that all 4 of the at-large council members, plus the chairman of the council, we are council members too. And you should use our offices as you need in order to get assistance.
Thank you, Christina. Okay, gonna open this up, open the floor to questions. I see one very eager hand right off the bat.
I wanted to deal with your work in regional transportation. Recently, here in, I think, Ward 5, 3, 7, and 8, we lost a service which most seniors took. It was called the Red Van, which we paid $3 to use as opposed to go on Metro, because when we were on the Metro bus, we did not know what we would meet in terms of violence and some other issues that we had. That service was terminated. August, July 28th. July 28th. Now, this is the kicker. This service was, the total amount for transportation for this service was $2 million for 4 men. I want to know, will DC reinstate this service? Because most seniors used it. I'm gonna tell you, if I had to come in at work and get off at Anacostia Subway or one of them at night, that was my godsend. So, if I want to know $2 million in the total budget, that's a drop in the water. Y'all give out contracts for dubious reasons that are more than $2 million. I could.
Let's give the council member a chance to respond. Christina.
So what you raised, ma'am, is something that we've heard from a lot of constituents and concerns around the connectivity of the metro system, whether it be for buses, circulator, neighborhood connect. Is that what you're referring to? The red buses, the neighborhood connect? Okay, all right. So neighborhood connect and otherwise. And I think you've also realized too that we've had a challenge in terms of not just with the funding for WMATA, but also having a steady pool of drivers to run all of these various services that are doing door-to-door service. So I can't make a promise. I can't make a promise that we're gonna. I understand. I don't.
My seniors who had retired, and this was a labor pool that allows seniors the dignity to work if they wanted to work part-time and so on.
I want to answer your question, but just to say I can't promise that it's going to come back because there's no funding for it to do so right now in this immediate time. The new fiscal year starts October 1. Right now, we're having ongoing conversations with WMATA and the circulator to deal with the transition of that service as well. As we talk about what's happening regionally, though, we're trying to figure out a way to, one, have all of these various modes of transit to have sustainable funding sources, because right now they don't. In most other cities, there are dedicated funding specifically for metro or public transit. In the district, which is shared between Maryland and Virginia, we have to go on hope every year to make sure that we can keep that system alive. And that's something that I want to change so that we can get on a right direction and a right path, but also make sure we have the modes of transit that accompany all of what we need in the various populations in the district.
Thanks, Christina. Okay, any other questions from the audience? Audience questions? Question right here.
Greetings, council member. You recently wrote a letter to the Unity Health Care City executives regarding the ongoing crisis. We're seeing physicians walk out. Many of the centers are still looking like ghost towns. Unity providers provide health care for the incarcerated, the homeless, and folks who are having challenges otherwise of getting care. Is there anything more that you can do beyond write a letter to help set a standard so that so many of the districts underserved are not facing this?
So I've done more than just write a letter. I actually have my second meeting with the CEO this past summer today, later on this afternoon. I think the thing that we have to realize is, first off, Unity has multiple contracts with the district. So as you said, they provide healthcare for the DC jail. That's currently under renegotiation. I can't really do anything because involving ourselves in contracting outside of the process has led to other things happening recent of late. So I'm gonna let that process play out. They also have a contract with DC Health on the school-based health centers. They provide health services at Cardozo, for instance, and a couple of other high schools. And we've been working with them to right-size that because perhaps they've been providing more services that are stretching their staff further than what they need in the moment that they need it. But I have had ongoing conversations with the executive director there. And as with any of our unions and the conversations that we're having, we can encourage, we can push. I can't write legislation to require a private entity, even a federal qualified health center, to be able to agree to a contract demand of the providers. But I can certainly underscore the necessity of having a strong Unity network in the District of Columbia to provide continuous care coordination for some of our most vulnerable residents. And that's what I'll continue to do. So I have a meeting this afternoon with the CEO. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Christina. Well, our esteemed host, Bill Pennell, said that I couldn't get you out of here without asking about Initiative 83. a subject near and dear to Lisa Rice's heart. I see in the front row here. That's going to be on your ballot, most likely, and it would add ranked choice voting and open up party primaries to independent voters. So I would love to hear from the council member. Do you support Initiative 83? And if it passes, will you work to fund it and see it implemented?
I do support Initiative 83. I was, oh gosh, my years are running together. Let's just say the first year I was in office, I introduced legislation to explore bringing ranked choice voting to the District of Columbia. And I'll tell you the number one reason that I did that. When I ran in 2020, and some of you may not remember because 2020 was a fog, but there were 24 people on the ballot for this particular race.
Yes.
24. And I heard from so many residents, there's too many of y'all, that we used to do candidate forums split across 3 nights, all of these different things. But what I'm saying is, I feel like within the District of Columbia, we've seen incredibly competitive elections. You just saw that in Ward 7, incredibly competitive elections. If we continue to have that level of competitiveness, we need to explore a different way of casting our ballots to ensure that all residents are having the opportunity to have their voices heard. I won my election with 15% of the vote. I think we should be doing better to ensure that everyone is getting 50+1. And so I encourage you to learn some more. I know the folks from Initiative 83 are here. The second part of Initiative 83 would do open primaries. I'm technically a registered independent. I don't have an opportunity to participate in any of the real elections as it pertains to the mayor or the attorney general. I just have to go with hope that the rest of y'all gonna get it right. I'd like to participate, especially since my tax dollars are paying for an election that I can't participate in.
Thank you. All right, well, we only have time, regrettably, for your closing statement. You got 1 minute, take us in.
Great. Well, thank you again so much for the opportunity to join you all again. I'm Christina Henderson. I'm one of your current at-large council members. If you want to learn more about my platform and the work that I'm doing on the campaign side, my campaign website is ChristinaHenderson.org. The number one thing to sort of remember from this election is that you have 2 votes for at-large council member. 2. So often we have so many folks who only go in and they vote for one person and then they are basically undervoting. So I hope you give all of the candidates a consideration and exercise both of your votes. Ballots start getting mailed out at the end of this month, and then you'll have until November 5th to cast your vote. I think you guys probably know more than most. If you want to vote in person, election day is time to do it because there are no lines. Thank you again.
Thank you. A round of applause for Christina and our other at-large candidates. We're going to move on now to Shadow Senator. For our Shadow Senator candidates, I think it is just the one of you, unless I'm missing anyone. It's lonely here at these candidate forums, but we're glad that we have Ankit Jain, our Democratic nominee, participating. Shadow Senator is, as a quick reminder, mostly a ceremonial role to advocate for statehood and sort of represent DC's interests for Congress. For someday, if we do ever become a state, serving 6-year terms. So Ankit, you've got 2 minutes for an opening statement. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you so much. My name is Ankit Jain. I just want to say that it's not if we become a state, it's when we become a state. And that's exactly what I'm fighting to do. Again, my name is Ankit Jain. I'm the Democratic nominee for Shadow Senator. I'm a Ward 2 resident, and I'm out here fighting for our democratic values in this condition. So I'm fighting for DC statehood because we don't want second-class citizenship in this country. We want the same rights that every other single American in this country has. And that means 2 voting senators, 1 voting congressman, and no ability for Congress to take away our rights. And so we got to make sure we're protecting home rule. That's what I'm fighting. I'm fighting to make sure that we have, we protect the right to choose, the right to abortion services in this city, because the Republicans are trying to take it away from us. I'm fighting for gun control, getting these guns off of our streets, because we need federal gun laws. We do what we can here in DC, but what does it matter if someone just go down to North Carolina or South Carolina on I-95 and bring it back up to DC? So I'm fighting for gun control. I'm fighting for affordable housing to make sure that the federal government is a partner in building more affordable housing and not an obstacle. And I'm fighting to stop Trump and the MAGA Republicans from taking away our rights and trying to dictate policy to us in this city. So that's exactly what I'm fighting for. Again, my name is Ankit Jain, and I hope I can earn your vote in this election. I'm a voting rights attorney, and I'm trying to use my experience in legislative advocacy to get stated over the finish line, because I know we can get stated over the finish line. It's not a when, it's an if, and we need strong leadership to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ankit. It's worth saying that there is also a Republican on the ballot in this race, and Nelson Rosensnyder, so long as I'm not screwing up that name, he sends his regrets. So that just means we've got lots of quality time with Ankit here. So, Ankit, as I know, I think I might have even asked you this before, but maybe the audience is different. Shadow senator is a role that can kind of be what you make of it. It's sort of up to you to decide how to use the office to fight for statehood, advance DC autonomy and priorities. So how do you envision doing that? What was the shadow senator role to you? How would you approach it? You got a minute.
Yeah, thanks. So, what I tell people about the shadow senators, our shadow senators are elected lobbyists for our rights for the Congress and our elected organizer in chief to make sure that we're running the right campaigns. I mean, I'll just give you one example. President,
But they've got to be ready for the eventuality that Republicans may control one or both houses of Congress, as they do now, which they often use as opportunities to interfere with DC autonomy. What would you do if Republicans hold some House of Congress to stand up for DC's autonomy, fight back against attempts to interfere with home rule?
yeah, I think that's exactly right. We have to be prepared for every occurrence that could happen. And so, I mean, I was just talking about it. We need a strong federal lobbying campaign to protect our rights because the Republicans are really going to come after us. You know, right now, I'm not making this up. There's a bill before the Congress that dictates how many traffic cameras we can have in the city. These are the kinds of petty stuff that they're doing to us. So what I want to do is be making arguments that members of Congress actually care about, right? Thinking about what is their interests and what can we say to them to convince them to vote the way we want them to. And I'll just give you one example. Yesterday, there was a lobby day that a voting rights group, the Leadership Conference on Civil Rights, held. And I went to that lobby day and I spoke with staff from Senator Katie Brick from Alabama, not our strongest ally in the Congress, right? And there's a bill before the U.S. Senate to repeal our Home Rule Act and have Congress set all laws for us. So I spoke to them about why they should vote against that bill. And the arguments I made were that they don't want to take that headache on, right? They don't want to deal with trash pickup. They don't want to deal with shootings in DC. And speaking to their interest, and the staff member told me afterwards they're opposed to that, right? Those are the kinds of arguments I will be making as your shadow senator to get people to vote the right way.
Thank you, Ankit. I see at least one question from our esteemed host here.
As you know, you won't, as the shadow senator, won't have the vote to negotiate or to make deals with other senators. So how would you develop some kind of influence to influence other senators?
Well, yeah, all right. Yeah, so I mean, I'm already working on this. So I'm working actively reaching out to members of Congress, especially our Virginia and Maryland delegations. We have Congressman Beyer, Connolly, Raskin, the senators Warner and Kincaid. Then in Maryland, we have Congressman Raskin, and I've been establishing relationships with all of them. I was involved with soon-to-be Congressman Subramaniam's efforts to get elected, and so I have a good relationship with him. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do right now is get a relationship with these members of Congress. I'm hoping to use my experience as a voting rights attorney. I work with a lot of national voting rights groups and use that connection to make sure that the national groups that care about these issues, that DC statehood is always part of the national voting rights agenda. And so I went to the DNC this past month and establishing relationships there. So I think you just got to be active and you got to show up. You got to show up. We didn't have in this position. We've yet to have people who actually show up. And when you show up, it makes a huge difference because people remember you and people are willing to work with you. So that's exactly what I want to do.
Thank you, Ankit. I think we've got time for one more question. One more question from anyone in the audience. Okay.
What is a shadow senator? Well, exactly what do you do, shadow senator?
Well, he's nothing yet, but we'll give you a chance to talk about the role of shadow senator. Give us a chance to help our audience.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people say you're basically DC's lobbyists, elected lobbyists for the city. So we're the ones who are trying to convince these senators and talking to them and telling them why they should vote in a way that protects DC and doesn't harm DC. And that's both getting those meetings and getting those relationships, members kind of the inside gate. And it's also organizing the campaigns from people like all of you all coming out and advocating for our rights and explaining what's going on the outside gate, right? We're having the protests, we're having the rallies, we're having people attending these congressional hearings, and we're talking about the messaging and what they're hearing about what this bill that they're voting on would actually do.
All right, well, that's about all our time. We've got 1 minute for closing statements. Hold your applause until the end. 1 minute for Auntie to close this out.
Well, thank you again for being here today. Again, my name is Ike Jane. I'm the Democratic nominee for Shadow Senator, and I am running for this position to bring our Democratic values to the U.S. Capitol. And why am I doing this, right? I'm a voting rights attorney. I am passionate about democracy. It's what I do every day, and it's what I'll do for you every day. And I don't take democracy for granted. You know, my parents came here to the U.S. from India, and my dad came here on a green card. And he had to wait in line overnight, sleep in line overnight to get his green card application processed and get him on the pathway to a vote. And you know, people thought they were homeless sleeping in line overnight. They're trying to go up to the trying to get us food. And my parents had to tell them, no, we have food, we have home. We just want to be American citizens. And they worked so hard to get that right to vote in this country, only to see their son lose that right when he crossed the river from Northern Virginia into the city, into DC. And so it's personal to me. I know what my parents worked for and fought for to get that right to vote that I lost, that we all have lost in DC. And I promise to you that when I am elected, I will fight as hard as I can to get the right to vote, to protect our rights, and to make sure that your voices are heard in the U.S. Capitol. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie. Now you can applaud our one shadow candidate. We're moving now very similarly to our shadow representative candidates. I think there's only one of you here. Yes, Oye showed up. Yeah. Okay. Our current shadow representative, Oye Olalewa, sends his regrets. He is the Democrat in office right now who is running for re-election. We've got Chiprin Ivanov, our Republican nominee, who is here. You've got 2 minutes to tell us about yourself.
I realize this is atypical, but would it be possible to cede Oya's time to Ramon?
No. I mean, that's up to you, but we've got 2 minutes for you, so all up to you.
All right. Fundamentally, DC does not work. Camone made some excellent points about the poor quality of conditions in DC. And that all comes down to the quality of local government. But local government is not analyzing the information that's going on. Presumably, some of them know that the streets are bad, the schools are bad, people are dying, but that's not what they spend their time thinking about, and that's not what they spend their time arguing about. There's a process for that in representative democracy. It's called multiple parties. Politicians by themselves can't do everything. And Jane is right. Politicians usually just look at one page and then vote how they're told. You need groups of people to analyze things and to argue about it to get the truth. That's the nature of politics. And if you've got one party, you're not having people argue the same way you would in a two-party system. DC has been run by one party. All the policy debates, they're underneath the table. They are insider politics. If you have one party, voters don't know what choices they have. And that's why I'm running as a Republican. Statehood is a distraction. We need more than one party here in DC, and we need representation from more than one party in DC to identify and fix our basic problems.
Okay, thank you. So I just heard you say statehood is a distraction. I think we've talked about this before. Would you press for statehood in your role as shadow representative? And if not, why not?
At this time, no, because I am against giving more power to the people who have messed things up so far. If you want DC to be trusted as a state, you need DC to be trustworthy. That means having good administration. That means having debates. That means having a process that produces reliable and good results. And you're not going to get that by just giving more power and more secrecy to the people in charge.
Excellent. Okay. So, questions from the audience. I think I see one hand. Did you come to you?
Right now, DC's bottom rating is a AAA. Now, that's the metric by which we are measured, and the economists here can verify that. Your compatriot here. We have a AAA bond rate. We have been able to keep that for 20 years. 26. Oh, and this morning I looked up the ratings before bondbank.com. Now, the only thing is we have beaten approximately, and the economist is right here, 20 states that the Republicans have are now running in terms of bond rates. That means DC can go to the market, borrow what they need. In addition, and the economist is right here, we have $3.6 billion in the bank by which she met the Republican right here. My question is, why should we worry about what since we all sit down and we discuss, we don't need to know what the party label is. We just need to discuss. So, having the Republican Party here just to say that we have the Republican Party for a party label doesn't really make much sense, because we beat them on the whole thing.
Their ministry was fine. One reason why DC has a good bond rating is because there's provisions in the Home Rule Act that require that money be set aside and monitored by people who can block the budget.
No, but let me ask, and the economist here with that here, I'm not sure.
We can't get to it back and forth, I'm sorry. Do you have a chance? Yeah, do you have a chance to?
Okay. The second part is that DC policy has swung in wild ways. First, there was the wave of criminal justice reform under Charles Allen, and then there was much more recently, also voted for by Charles Allen. That swing was wild and under-discussed by the general voting public. It was a big thing among activists and politics junkies and council members, but did ordinary voters know what they were voting for? No. So there are wild swings, they're just not being very transparent about it.
Okay, I'm seeing another audience question. I think from someone you all will see shortly on.
To be very specific, I want to know what your opinion is, because of your party, about banning books, about critical race theory, about anything that deals with affirming Black children and who they are. Your party comes out and consistently tries to knock down anything where Black people will feel good about themselves and taking books out of school. I would like to know where you are.
There's a lot of messaging about that, but I am in favor of people being who they are, authentic. I am against ethnic division, and that's destructive. Also know that critical race theory is the idea that private property is itself racism, and I am against that idea.
Okay, I see a question from Charles, and then we'll get you out of here.
Since overwhelming majority of DC residents are for statehood now, and you're against it, why should we support you?
Because right now, statehood, even at the best estimate, is a long ways away. And there's a lot of groundwork that has to be built on the basis of having a productive city. So you don't think I'm a good long-term person? Fine. But as long as the current political dysfunction exists in DC, you need an alternative.
Okay, well, Cyprian, for your closing statement, you got 1 minute. 1 minute to close this out.
Look, I'm not an experienced candidate. I'm a first-time candidate. I'm not exactly the most agreeable person. That's why I like Kimon. He talks about problems and is willing to argue with people. That's good. I just have a different series of solutions that I believe will work than Kimon. So we need an alternative. I'd say vote for me, but at least we need the argument between me and Kimon. I want that.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. A round of applause for our lone shadow representative candidate. Okay, we are going to keep things moving right along to our at-large State Board of Education candidate. I believe there's only the one of you, as I said. You may recognize him from just a moment ago. All right, we've got our Democratic nominee here, Jacques Patterson. Well, I suppose you're not anyway. If you're independent, nonpartisan, endorsed by some Democrats, Jacques Patterson, 2 minutes, take it.
Good afternoon, Ward 8. It's always fun to come here because this is home for me. I moved here in 1995 as a military member of the state and I could have lived anywhere. Most of my college was going out to Waldorf and other areas. I chose to move right into Ward 8. And the reason I love coming to Ward 8 is because I get to say thank you for the people who actually raised me and got me to where I am as far as a resident, trying to make sure that our voice is heard citywide. I'm the at-large member on the State Board of Education and also vice president. When I first came to the ward, who served on my committee to get elected the very first term was Phil Burnett. He was the first person to bring me into a lot of things that I've done throughout this time with the ACC and the different groups. And then smiling right next to her, to him, is Katie Shepard, who actually helped raise some of my children because we worked together at the Department of Youth Services and had a great time. And then I look back and I see people like Brenda Jones. And I remember when we first started working on the AARP and the programs that you had there, and we were trying to make sure that our children had the things that they needed in our community. And that's how I learned how to community work. From the people that are in this room, whether I'm looking at Jackie, who she was at the council member's office and stuff, also talking about community. So this is home. I love raising the voice of Ward 8 specifically, even though I'm the at-large person, and making sure we have equity in our voice on every single issue.
Thank you, Jacques. Okay, so we're going to keep this brief and get you out of here. But one of the things that I suspect many people in this room have heard about is the recent collapse of a charter school, Eagle Academy. That's made a lot of headlines right before school started. This is a school that the DC public school system does not have oversight over, but is nonetheless charged with taking care of those students. What are they going to do? Where are they going to go to school? The state board, I imagine, is thinking a lot about this. You don't have a ton of power, but you do have the power to think about, how can we be exercising more oversight over charter schools, being ready for situations like this where they fail unexpectedly because we don't have transparency in their budgets. How do we prevent another Eagle attack?
Well, I really appreciate that question. And I'm gonna push back a little bit. Although we don't have statutory power, we have pulpit power, and that means raising the voice of individuals that need to be heard. That situation was going on for quite some time, and they did not ring the bell when we saw the financial mismanagement and a lot of the other problems that were going on there. So we started talking to individuals. I did first started talking to my colleagues on the other side to say, we're not going to do what we did before, even though it's right before school, and just allow another student to come over and mask, so to speak, the misfunction and the mismanagement of what was happening at Eagle. So what we saw, it was wrong to close it a week before school started, but it would have been even worse because of what will come out if it had closed in the middle of the year, when kids didn't have a choice, when teachers didn't have the opportunity to look for a job. So while the oversight should be a lot stronger, I think what we did and what we decided was the right answer.
Excuse me.
Thank you, John.
John, tell people where Eagle Academy is. Not everyone knows what it is.
So Eagle Academy is the open Godly building. It is on Wheeler Street, right there before you get to Mississippi, right before you get down the hill.
Okay, here we've got time for just the one question. You're staring at that.
I see Ms. Ball, and I know she got a hard question that she does on Facebook with you too.
My last question.
Yes, ma'am.
But I wanted to ask about the Eagle Academy. Then what legislation, I would assume they have audit every year. What legislation would you suggest, or not just speaking for you and the board, that could have made it so that you would have known, whether it's annual audits, etc., whatever, because you're right.
Yeah.
It was going on for years. If I knew about it.
So, since we can't propose any type of legislation for the positions that I hold, what I would hope comes out of this, and I look at Mendelson's letter, and I think our chairman is doing an awesome job at getting the root of everything and where the bills need to be reached. So I want to shout him out for what he's doing currently. But it's about transparency. Charter schools have got to give us more transparency into their operations. This doesn't happen if the general population knows that the school has been in trouble. Like you said, Ms. Ivana, a year ago. They shouldn't have been able to, like, after they finished the last school year, June, that should have been it. We should not allow them to act like they're going to start another school year. That was wrong. That was a disservice to our community. And we saw what was the result of it because they kept that hidden from everybody else. So I'm talking to you, I'm saying transparency to make sure that we get those out. And I think that's what you should be with policy.
What does it look?
No, we can't be doing it.
We're gonna get one question, one really quick one for T. Quick.
Yes, very quickly. I know you all are aware of the school shooting in Redmond, Georgia last week by a 14-year-old. John, what are the measures? What are the security measures for DC public schools to keep our kids safe?
Yeah, so at most high schools, this young man was a freshman. Most high schools have, metal detectors. And so you're not bringing in a lot of things, such as the nature of that. I don't know if that school had one or not, but those are some of the protections that are in place. I also, and I know it's a touchy subject right now. I actually work with violent interrupters, and they get in front of a lot of the fights that I know at the school I work at. And I get information on a daily basis. And even over the weekend, if there's a football game or something that happens, I'm talking to a violent interrupter to understand, okay, who's gonna fight, who said somebody's girlfriend? I need to know because that may find its way to the school. So it's about communications also, connecting the dots between our violent interrupters, our safe passage individuals, and MPD so that we know that. And then taking that information up to our school leaders so they can put in the proper safety plans when you see something like this. As you said, we knew about this gentleman. They knew about him a year before. What happened? They fell down.
White privilege.
That part.
Thank you, Jacques. You've got 1 minute to close this out. 1 minute here.
I'm Jacques Patterson, Ward 8 resident, proud to be a Ward 8 resident. My daughter teaches down at Thurgood Marshall. She was raised in this. She graduated from Thurgood Marshall. She now teaches at Thurgood Marshall. We know where we came from. We know who raised us. Ward 8 raised me, helped me to get to this position. I'm asking for your support again. I'm running unopposed. So I'm hoping that means that you guys are satisfied with the work that I've done for the last 4 years. But I still want to make sure that people know we come out and vote and we support those who elevate the voice of Ward 8. So I'm looking for you.
Jacques, let's applause for our State Board of Education nominee. We're staying with the State Board. We got our Ward 8 State Board of Education, I believe, also running unopposed. Coming up to the front here is, of course, DC's local school board of sorts. We don't quite have a school board anymore, but we do have our State Board of Education reps. LaJoy Law is here running to be one of them. Okay, LaJoy, 2 minutes to tell us about yourself.
2 minutes, all right. Good afternoon, Ward 8. That's terrible, I don't accept it. This is a beautiful ward. I don't accept that. And those of you who are not Ward 8, you can join in too. Let's try it again. Good afternoon, Ward 8. Good afternoon. That's how we do. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is LaJoy Johnson Law. I am a proud Ward 8 resident. My daughter is 13. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, but before I do that, everybody hold out your hand, because I'm going to tell you why I'm ready. Hold out your hand. Come on. That includes you, Alex. No, it really does. I would. Where's my money? Okay. I'm a single mother. I need funds. I'm raising a teenager. All right. This is how big my daughter was, you guys. 1 pound, 6 ounces. Okay. That's how I got into education. That's how I got into disability advocacy. That's how I got into policy advocacy. That's how I got into education policy. That's how I got into out of school time. And that's how I got into parent advocacy. A lot of our parents in this ward are not involved for so many different reasons, and we have to do a better job of that. Do you all know that there are no mothers on the State Board of Education as it sits right now? That's crazy. How many of us knew an amazing mom or have an amazing mother who fought for us? Almost everybody should be raising their hand, or at least a maternal figure. That voice needs to be on the board because it's not. So when we talk about safety and mental health, and don't get me started on special education because that's my baby. Nobody is talking about these things as it relates to our kids on the ground. I can tell you all that I have getting a doctoral degree. I can tell you all about my policy experience. I can tell you all about my Lunch with LaJoy community podcast, my literacy podcast with Storytime with the Bria with my daughter. But I want you all to respect me as I stand here as a single Black mother. They're not on that board. There are no mothers on this board, and people dismiss us, and I'm tired of us being dismissed. So I'm running for this seat, not to give a voice to Ward 8. Ward 8, we have a voice. I'm giving Ward 8 the platform and the bridge and the ability to be heard, because like folks said, don't just come over here when you're ready. Do the work now. So I'm not asking to do what's next or to do the work. I'm asking to continue. Come on now, let's go.
Thank you, LaJoy. Well, I would like to ask you about an issue that's been affecting schools here at Ward 8 as well as Ward 7. We've just heard reports about JC Nall. They're dealing with a swing space, schools getting modernized. Where are the kids going to go in the meantime? This is a persistent issue that I've been hearing about from parents. You would be in the position to be working with DCPS, fighting to make sure that when schools get modernized, kids aren't having to drive halfway across the city in order to stay in class. But this is challenging. You got to find properties to do it. How would you tackle this issue? Give me a minute.
Thank you so much, Alex. So we're actually already in talks with that. So you all just heard Dr. Patterson talk about the closing of Eagle Academy. As you all know, Hart Middle, Eagle is right there on Wheeler, Mississippi, basically. And if you go down Mississippi a little bit, you have Hart Middle School. They're up for renovation as well. So there are a lot of schools that are up, and Eagle Academy has now closed. So DCPS has to do a lot of working through, and I think they have a loan on the building right now, so there's a lot of things happening with that. You have to get to the banks and all that. But we are already talking to DCPS about, hey, can we use this as swing space? And I'm gonna go a step further, not just about swing space, but just other vital educational programs such as tutoring. Why do I have to drive across town just to do tutoring? Why can't we have more swimming programs? That building has a pool. There's so many different things that we could do in that big educational space. And I'm looking at all of our seniors. We would love to be able to bring our seniors there to do more literacy. Do y'all know the literacy rate for Ward 8? Do y'all know the math literacy rate for Ward 8? 14% and respectively 9%. We need more spaces to educate our children. We need more spaces to organize. We need more spaces for advocacy.
Running out of
time. Okay, so that building right there, it's not just LaJoy. We need everybody fighting to be able to say, hey, our kids need swing space, and this is a great place to do it to keep them in the community.
Thank you, LaJoy. Questions from the audience? Any questions for our State Board of Education nominee? Oh.
No, not me, just one question.
Just one question. Otherwise, I'll keep asking. Okay.
So my question is, how are we dealing with truancy when we're at a 44% rate in DC?
So thank you, Dr. Alexander. That is a complicated question that is going to create a multi-pronged approach. The first thing that I want to talk about is our special education students who actually take up 25% of our chronic absenteeism rate. They're dealing with medical appointments. Again, chronic absenteeism is excused and unexcused. So they're dealing with therapeutic appointments, medical appointments, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, and therapeutic appointments. So we have to do a better job of really serving our kids with disabilities. We also have to do a better job of serving our kids with disabilities as it relates to OSSI transportation. That is something that they're working on to be able to get them there. And on the subject of transportation, that's another issue that's contributing to why it's so high. Many children in Ward 8 are traveling, my daughter included, to programming across the city. So we need to be able to get them there. And I have one child. I thank God for the parents who have 2 and 3 and 4 children who are making that sacrifice every day, who may not have a car, who are on the metro or on the bus or on Uber or something else. So we have to figure out, one, how do we keep more children here in the ward? And 2, if they have to go out, how do we safely transport them there? And then also, high school, that's another can of worms. But we just really have to do better with meeting our kids where they are.
Thank you, LaJoy. Close us out. 1 minute closing statement. I wish we had more time to keep you here, but we got to keep moving. 1 minute to close us out.
All right. Again, Ward 8, I just want to thank Phil Pinnell and just the AARP. Like, just love you guys. And I'm going to take a shameless plug. I would love to be able to come back here with my daughter and to read with you all because literacy starts at home. And when I say at home, that just doesn't mean in my house. That means at home in our community. So we have to do a better job of bridging each other and really holding each other close when it comes to these different issues. And so again, I'm a proud single mother. I thank you all for your time. You all can visit the campaign at www.lajoy4ward8.com. I'll be around after if you all have any questions. But remember, Ward 8, love on somebody today. Be kind to somebody today. It's a lot going on. So be kind to someone. Don't just roll up on somebody and come out your mouth sideways. I'm just going to be that person to say it. No, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. Be kind to someone today because you don't know what people are going through.
No, there you So reminder, the way that we're working this is we're doing 2 minute opening statements so voters can get familiar. I think probably the easiest way to do it is we'll just start with Michael and then head on down the line. So Michael, 2 minutes, opening statement, your Ward 8 council.
How y'all doing? My name is how y'all doing? My name is Marshall Brown. I'm a Ward 8 resident. I was born right here in Southeast Washington. I went to Henley Elementary School, Hart Junior High School, and Blue High School. When I graduated from CIP, multiple high school. Reason why I wanted for Ward 8 candidate because what's been going on now is going on back then when I was coming up. Same old thing. I'm just sick and tired of. In the 90s, I owned 2 stores on 22nd Alabama. One called Snapper, Variety, Snappers 1 and Snapper 2, and I also owned the launch back. I'm an electrician by trade. I just recently retired. And since I've been home, since I've been not having to work, I've been just seeing what's going on. So we have a beautiful city, and they don't make no sense for our kids to act the way they do. And the city is in a transition. Ward 8 is coming up. We got all this retail space. Now I'm wonderful for the county. I want to make sure our young people have the same opportunity. Open up these businesses that's going on right now. When I was coming up in my 20s, I started my first store. I hustled hard to get it, and I opened up there for 10 years before the second Avenue. Right beside on the side of Bojangles, right next to Johnson Barbershop. I've done this by myself. I had my family, people in the neighborhood work for me, and back then we had drug strips, all this stuff not going on now. So why are we still going through this problem with all this craziness going on? It don't make no sense. The same thing going on, the same old thing. And I'm here to try to change that. Whatever. I'm not a politician, but I'm going to step out on the line and do what I got to do. If I can do it, be voted as Ward 8 council member. I'll make sure that all Ward 8 counties, Ward 8 grants that come to Ward 8, that the people know about it, especially the city. Y'all shouldn't have to walk up being scared anymore. This stuff closed down early. People ain't hanging in the street no more. Why is it like that?
Running out of time. Running out of time.
Yeah, drugs. That's going on no more, man.
Thank you very much, Michael. Turning now to the Republican nominee, Nate Durant.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nate Durant. I am the other person on the ballot besides Trayon, who you can select. You don't have to write me in. I'm also the candidate who lives east of the river and actually in the ward, allegedly. I'm going to tell you 3 things that are key differences between me and Trey. First one is policy. Trayon votes with the council like 66% of the time or something. He is the most independent member of the council, but I'm going to be way more independent than him, so you can trust me on that. And mostly his policy has really contributed to the generational poverty and the sad state of affairs that we have today, mostly because his policy, like most of the policy, just creating programs that you can grift off of and don't really attack the causes of our problems. The second thing that makes me different from Trayon is I'm not taking any money taking donations. He still owes Office of Campaign Finance $57,000. I know the dude has money issues. I'm wondering, and he creates programs like fair elections where he can take more money from the people and then spend it on himself and his friends and his girlfriend's vacations, and he doesn't show receipts. And he should really pay the people back the money that he owes them to OCF. I brought this up at the last AARP meeting when Trey was here, and it's real regrettable that he's not here for seniors this time. The final thing that makes me different, less important, I'm a professing Christian, I think he converted to Islam, and I'm just kind of curious about that with him. Multiple questions. I'll pause there. Thanks for listening to me. We'll go to the next one.
Okay, moving on down the line, another write-in candidate for the council seat, Khadijah Long.
It's Khadijah Long. I've been a resident of Ward 8 for 63 years, and I'm continuing to stay here. I'm not gonna sit up here and bash anybody. Yes, I am a Muslim, a Black Muslim woman and educated. Okay, I'm a fighter, I'm an advocate. I'm not gonna say something that I'm not gonna do myself. Okay, it's a lot going on. I think they're overlooking the senior citizens, and I'm part of that too. I'm a senior citizen too. Okay, and I have a problem with that. I have a problem with people coming into the community and taking from Ward 8. I have a problem with that. And I'm quite sure y'all do. I went to Drake Elementary, I went to Hart Junior, I graduated out of Blue and left and went in the military. Okay, right now, I even go out in the neighborhood now, certify people in training. I feed the homeless. I go to senior citizen home, cook for them twice a month with my grandkids. I'm storing tradition in them. Okay, I'm hearing a lot about policy. Well, what have you been doing before you got up here to run for Ward 8 council? What you been doing? I know people know I've been out here working. I done gave off my back. I didn't let homeless people live in my home because there was no place for them to go. That's what I did. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final writing candidate, Olivia Henderson.
Good day, Ward 8. Wait a minute. Good day, Ward 8. Because Ward 8 is in the house, and I'm going to spend all my time talking about me. I'm Olivia Henderson, born and raised in Ward 8, Furby Hope. It was Washington Highland, Hart Junior High School, Blue. I done did everything in Ward 8. And what have I done? Served the people for free as a single mother, as an ANC commissioner for 14 years, okay? Okay, and I love serving our people because it's for the people, by the people, we are the people. So it's going to be the people that continue to lead Ward 8 forward. Before I even say that, I want to thank AARP for inviting me out to speak to our most valuable residents in Ward 8. Okay? It's so much wisdom in this room, and I'm not here with no negative vibes. My vibes are to intake all that wisdom so we can continue, not my plan, but Ward 8 plan to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. So our host had asked me to remind you that only the candidates who are registered with the Board of Elections to run as write-ins were the ones invited. There may be some other candidates that have declared intentions to run until they get things squared away. The AARP didn't want to have them here. We're crowded enough already. We're happy with this stage here. So I see a question from the audience right away. We'll go to that before hearing from
I'm 72 years old. When I first moved to this ward in 2007 from Ward 6, I felt very comfortable walking to the store. I don't anymore feel comfortable walking to the store. I don't feel comfortable riding on the bus, unless it's a very short distance, like from my house to the library. I want to know, because our present council member voted present on the crime bill. In addition to what has already happened, what legislation do you think needs to be in place, and what oversight of the various crossroads that cross between crime, whether it's school, the police, etc., because they all are crossed. What do you think as a council person you can do so I can feel safe? I don't have to check the emergency alerts. There's 3 or 4 times a day that carjacking that is true. And Thank you.
All right, Michael, we'll start with you. You each get 1 minute to tackle this one.
I think the main thing is, we have to change the mindset of youth out here. We have to let them know that, this city is for them to show them that, what's going on in the city, how the city has beautified, I was surprised I was walk around the city and I was going places, seeing places that, it's so beautiful, the kids don't know this. They need to know they are part of this city and try to let them know, we have some very creative, talented, bright, entrepreneurial youngsters out here that we have to tackle for them to know that program that we can implement for them to go into business for themselves and take that energy instead of, on the street, and then, they'll change their mindset. You won't have to be worried shit I'm going to that store anymore. Because our used to be running these stores at their own little corner store. That's what I want to see for our youth. So I think it's start with our young people first to get them to change their mindset. Let them know that we all in this together.
Thank you. Nate, on tackling public safety.
Good question of mine. I think you alluded to the interconnectedness of a lot of our policies. You said what legislation, what oversight. Well, I think I'll be really good at oversight. Number one, it's kind of hard for the current council member to conduct oversight when he's getting kickbacks from the programs to which he's supposed to be overseeing. And just in general, oversight is just really bad with the council. It happens in March. It's usually,
all right, everyone, let's give him a chance. Let's give him a chance.
I think oversight is done very poorly with the council currently. Usually it's the chairman, Phil Middleton, asking some softball questions to representatives from other mayor's agencies. And as we know from our current council member, there's reasons why it doesn't happen very well. So I think we need some oversight with WMATA. Fair evasions are a huge problem. If they were enforced, we'd have $40 million more and we get some of our programs back to WMATA that we've been asking about earlier today. And so that's one place where I stop, where we can, one, save money, and then not have people practice criminal behavior, and that starts with oversight. Thank you.
Thank you, Nate. Bija, on public safety.
Yes, we have a lot of things in place right now, but what they really need, a lot of these kids have been through trauma. Okay, we have a lot of mental health agencies out here that's not doing anything for them, but they are getting the money to see them fund. Okay, there's a lot of fraudulent work going on, because I have seen it by trade. I'm a third. Okay, a lot of these kids, they go to school, they don't eat. I mean, it's trauma. What do you do when your father's incarcerated, your mom out on drugs? You got 3 or 4 or 5 other siblings. You got to go out and hustle. No, you can do something else to get money. They're afraid to do something else because the kids may get snatched away. So we all have to come together as a family. Back in the day when they said it took a village to raise a child, and that's true. Okay, I have a foster child. He's my child now. I just adopted him. Okay, along with my 4 other children. And the type of children I have, I raised them, yes sir, yes ma'am. A parent better not come tell me my child did something. Okay, they know it's a situation. So we must get involved. We can't be afraid of these kids. I tell the kids, quick, pull up your pants. Do you know why your pants are hanging? And they don't know. I tell them, Google breaking the buck, and you'll get your answer.
Okay. Olivia, closing us out on what to do about public safety.
Good day, and everyone. When it comes to public safety, I just think of restorative justice. Before our kids can even hit the criminal system, there are programs that we can put within the school system, the rec system, the community centers to help our kids, that residents such as yourself can go to the corner store. That's after we as a community build better relationships with MPDs. They're there. They have always been there in our community to make it a safe place for us all. So just us as residents playing our role too. What about neighborhood watch programs? You want to come and complain about the issues and the concerns in your community, but you don't want to come and flood a room like this and tell leaders exactly what you, as a resident, we work for you. So if y'all don't flood the rooms and tell us what y'all need, and if we don't be active to accept everything that you're saying, it'll never work. But we are strong people in Ward 8, and we'll make it work.
Thank you very much. Before I get back to all those questions, I'm gonna sneak one in here from me. We've all been talking around it. It deserves to be said, Ward 8 Councilmember Tran White, he is not here. I'm sure he sends his regrets. He is facing federal bribery charges, and that has people asking a lot of hard questions about how we can have trust in government. He is innocent until proven guilty, of course, but I really want to hear from all of you. If you are lucky enough to win, all of you, get a chance to be council member. What are you going to do to restore trust in government? How are you going to give people confidence that despite these allegations, you're working ethically, that programs are working well for people, and that things aren't being taken advantage of? Let's change up the order a little bit. Let's start with Olivia. Mix it up. Thank you.
To me, government transparency is everything. Let's put it out there. It's not our plan. It's the people's plan. So when you include you guys in the plan, in black and white, what we say we're going to do, we have to do it. So my thing is, instead of everybody leaning on leaders, we need to lean on our community can work. So as long as we just stick to the people, that's my thing is. It's the people's plan, not our plan. Let's work together, move our ward forward to be better than any other ward. We're one district of Columbia, so we're one ward.
Thank you very much, Olivia. Khadija?
Excuse me, folks online, please make sure you keep yourselves muted. Please do not share your screen. Thank you.
Mr. White, we knew this was going on. It starts from the top, okay? And it's still going on. People are scared right now and shaking right now. We already knew this was going on. And it's still going on. We need a clean house. We need to get rid of these pits.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
get this person in, that person.
Yeah.
That's my buddy. They're gonna listen to me.
Yeah.
We don't need that. I want some ambassadors with the elders. I want them to come in, put them in office and let them do what they need to do, because they know a lot. They are very knowledgeable. Okay, and you just need to listen to them. And they're not being heard. That's the problem. They are not being heard. They need to be the big decision makers. And I listen, I'm a yes sir, yes ma'am. Because I remember switching back in the day. Okay. So we already knew what was going on. It ain't over yet. I'm just hoping when they do this investigation, they do a thorough one and reveal the truth. Don't just shut this under the table. They go all the way from the ANC commission all the way up to the top.
Thank you very much. Nate? Trust is really low for obvious reasons. It's something very interesting is that the council member who's reviewing Councilmember White's cases, McDuffie gave $3 million to his cousin for the DC lottery contract. So it's kind of weird when we talk about rebuilding trust in government. We need some. Besides that, there's some funny business, Fort Miller construction, mayor did get a nice addition to her home. Perhaps they need to something else. But there's a lot of it happening. It's not just
Okay, guys. Okay, all right. I know we're having a good time, but we want to be able to hear what our candidates have to say. All right, Michael.
I think your question was, you asked will be if we get elected, when we get elected for the county, take the prize. So I would take the prize. But for one thing, see, I say I'm retired. I'm retired electrician, but I still run business. I still have business for it, and I have a product coming out now. And a few weeks ago, Tehran had a thing at the saying this talking about a Ward 8 investment fund grant. $800,000 is going to both businesses in Ward 8, 50 businesses, and also for 16 to 21 years, you can get $2,000. All you had to do is fill out an application, say you had a business idea. You was guaranteed $2,000 for a grant to start your own life, whatever business idea you had. Okay. I went up to Trayvon and asked him, look, my name is Michael Brown. Back in 1902 stores on down by Maryland. Now it's 172. This is what I'm doing now. I have a product coming out. I was showing him my products, and I have a license job. I'm working on a license job right now. I might need to have me promoted. He said, sure, but it's gonna cost you. I said, okay. I got you. 2 weeks later, this happened to him. And what I'm saying is, that place should have been packed before they invested it. It should have been packed with the hands of the people.
Running out.
People need to know what the grants that are going on Ward 8 to have grants. That's what I'm gonna do. Make sure people know Ward 8. If money for Ward 8, they're gonna know about it. The place ain't gonna be
Thank you,
back.
Michael. Thank you. Okay. I believe I saw some questions from the audience. Yes, I wanted to get to you.
Calvin Palmer. You mentioned about helping kids and all this. What about those who got mental health issues? You know what I'm saying? Like Ms. Long was saying earlier. You know, that don't get proper treatment by their ACT team or their CSA. Just taking money from that client. Or if you can't get money from that client, you don't want to treat that client. You understand? Or you got workers that work with that client and they fire this worker because they get along with that. And you don't get along. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna look over in there. It's good right now. I finally found one, but these last three I've been with, like she said earlier, all they want is your money. They don't really want to help the client. What can y'all do about that? What's your name again? Calvin Jose Palmer.
Okay, we'll start with Nate on this one and then loop back around. Start with Nate.
Yeah, I think that's legislators' stuff. The job of representatives is to legislate and conduct oversight. Sounds like that's an oversight issue, which will get worked with. If any of us want, I'm sure we'd all do a fine job checking with our constituent services, making sure you get the results and the programs are working the way you're supposed to without a 3% margin for the council member.
We'll go with the Thank you.
Mr. Calvin, I'm already on that. I've contacted Medicaid fraud because I identified several mental health places that are not giving the services to the clients and just taking the money, false documentation. I'm already on that, undercover.
Okay, Olivia.
Sometimes you feel like you was bucked in the lines there. However, I'm protected by the lines, okay? But to you, I wasn't even speaking on just you. Overall, there needs to be some accountability. And we always talk about oversight, accountability. We need to be hands-on. And the first thing we need to do is answer the phone. You can have a community outreach person all you want, but if they're not answering the phone when you call to see exactly what you need in order for we to assist you as your leader award, we defeat the purpose. So the first thing that me and my team would do is answer the call, hold people accountable, and instead of being in our office, sitting on our behind, we'll get up and meet you where you are. That's what I plan on doing, okay? And you can hold me accountable to that.
Thank you, Olivia. Michael Brown, closing us out on mental health services.
Yes, for mental health services, I have 4 sons. You know, all of them was raised in the school. I can have to place people back to school. My youngest son right now is going to mental health college. I've been trying to get help for him. It's a struggle, you know. But when I'm elected to Ward 8 City Council, any information that I find out about anything about mental health issues, I'm definitely gonna let the Ward 8 family know about what's going on with mental health. I have a problem, you know, I have 2 grandsons, 2 grandkids, and one of my sons is suffering from mental health right now. So it is a struggle, it's hard, but you know, the help is out here to start tapping.
Thank you, Mike. Okay. All right. Any other questions from the audience? Otherwise, I'm giving it over to Sam Collins here from the Informer. We got one.
Good afternoon. Ward 8 currently has over 200 plus nonprofits, but yet we're still not getting the services and resources that are needed. How would you better manage the resources coming from your nonprofit community in order that they would benefit our families that need them most?
Okay, Khadija, we're going to start with you on nonprofits in Ward 8. You got 1 minute.
I like to revisit those grants because if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, why do they have the money? Okay, what are they utilizing money for? So far, I've seen cars and houses. That's about it. I'm sorry, I'm a realist. I speak from the heart, not my tongue, because your tongue lies. So I read what's in my heart. And we just have to revisit. We have to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. You got a wake-up call. But I was already woke, fully woke. So we need to really
have them accountable for what they're doing. If they say they're gonna do something outside that grant, that should be happening. And with my team, I have a team that comes out and does things like that. I have lawyers, I have doctors. Must I go on?
Thank you. Olivia?
How y'all doing? Again, I'm gonna always say how y'all doing because this, of course, is my first time having this because I've been a commissioner, but this here is something great to be at. However, I want to say to you, there may be 200 nonprofits, but all the nonprofits really working for the community in which they are serving. So what we need to do is build better partnerships with those nonprofits. That's one of the reasons that I'm being a write-in candidate, because we do have a lot of nonprofits that's working for the community, and we never invest into those small nonprofits that make the biggest difference with our children and families in the community. So that's my goal, to invest more into the people that's doing the work for the people that we're serving.
Thank you, Olivia. Why don't we go down to the end, Michael Brown? Oh, we're focusing on how we can make sure nonprofits are doing what they're supposed to be doing, delivering services to the community.
Like I said, I'm gonna let Ward 8 residents and Ward 8 Southeast know whatever program is going on in Ward 8 with mental health, anything. Y'all can transfer, y'all can be first in my campus coming out, letting people know, getting involved with what's going on, setting up meetings, having community meetings and everything. That's what
Thank you, Michael. Nate, to close us out?
I'm gonna take a step back a little bit. So like the goals of my campaign and my platform is to make the residents of Ward 8 to be healthier, wealthier, and to improve the home ownership rates in the community. And so a lot of my plan to do that is to stop the government programs, stop the government from owning these resources and making those resources go back down to the people. Like if housing district owns over 10,000 units that are horribly mismanaged, I want the residents to own those homes and the government to sell it to them for a big discount. So I'm saying that because of these nonprofits, I want these nonprofits to succeed. I want our businesses to succeed. And I don't like it when our government picks the winners of the nonprofits by picking who to fund. Usually it's some nepotism involved and some kickback, you know? And so I want them all to succeed. And I want the individual people like me and you, working folks, to keep more of our money and to choose who we should think should have our money for these nonprofits to more directly address the needs in our community. So that's my time, but overall, I'd like to have less government oversight and more of the people doing oversight.
Okay, thank you, Nate. Sam, you can sneak in a question here if you still got one. Yes, I saw the hand.
Sorry to break the fourth wall here, but for each of y'all, if you can just delve into your legislative knowledge, you know, what knowledge do you have about the legislative process, about how bills are made, and about how to take residents' concerns and turn it into actual legislation that gets passed?
All right, Mike, we'll start with you at the end here.
Like I said, I'm not a politician, but like I know when I put my mind to something, I get done. No question about that. I'm gonna learn everything you need to be learned about legislation and politics. But I know one thing: you need somebody honest, somebody who loves DC, who have stake in Ward 8, and want to let people know. You know, if we come together, we stick together. We can whatever Ward 8 should be the business capital of DC. We have so much going on right now, and it's funny that we letting all these foreigners come over here, taking out resources. You know, it should be our people running these stores, our people doing business right here. You know, that's what I want to do.
Thank you, Mike. Nate?
Good question, Sam. I've been a candidate 3 times. I have been a witness before, so I'm pretty familiar with the legislative calendar and Classic Schoolhouse Rock song from my childhood. So yeah, I know how those pass. Good question.
Okay, Khadija.
I don't know too much, but I'm willing to learn, and I have people on my team that trust me to do what I need to do. I'm the type of person, I get it there and I create action. I get results. And I'm your person. I'm willing to learn. This is my first time coming out. I actually wasn't gonna run. But everybody come on, Khadija, come on, Khadija. I said, I don't know about that. But then I prayed and I was looking for another house. I've been in Ward 8 for the longest. I was looking for another house. They kept taking me to Ward 7. But then I said, you know what, God, if you want me to do this, you'll find me a house in Ward 8. And that following week, I got a house in Ward 8. I stayed in Ward 8. So he's been guiding me all the way. And I rely on him. He's first, my grandchildren, the community, all that come together. As long as I have him by my side, I'm going to do the right thing. I don't like jail. I've never been to jail. I ain't trying to go to jail. I'm too old for that.
Thank you. And finally, Olivia.
As a commissioner, we dealt a lot with legislation, but as to get good weight from commissioners, we did more with resolutions. My concern is that even when ANC commissioners gathered information from residents, came up to support such causes in the community and wrote the resolution, sometimes our resolutions didn't even make it to the council to even become part of the legislation. So my thing is getting a better understanding of the whole process with the team that we have chosen. I believe that when putting legislation out for the people of Ward 8, it will become better. But we first have to learn the process of it.
All right, thank you very much. Well, as much as I'd love to stay here all day with you, we are just about out
It's very helpful. 240 616 5079.
That's her phone number.
Yeah, I got that already.
Reach out. Anything you come across, even I'm not elected in there, trust me, I will be there. I will walk with you. We got walking doors, open up doors, whatever we need to do, I'm there. And I'm not even in the office. I'm gonna show you what I can do before I get there. I'm the candidate for you. I have passion. I love Ward 8. We have some beautiful people in Ward 8. Ward 8 is actually rich. That's why they always come over here getting our money, getting our resources. Okay? Even when we pass out food, here they come. So I really want to figure out and get this thing right. Because they deserve it. Ward 8 deserve it. Honest people.
Thank you so much. Olivia, our last word.
Okay, Ward 8. They say a write-in can't win. I'm gonna make them into a believer, okay? Because this write-in is different. Grassrooted, and me and the friends of Olivia Henderson, in which I will be launching on this Friday. Please make sure you go follow my page. We will be taking Ward 8 over to spread the word that new leadership is required to build better partnerships and to keep our community a little bit safer. Yes, we are Ward 8. We've been doing this for a long time, and what we're not going to do is let one mistake mess up all the greatest things that we've been doing in Ward 8. We had people like Wilhelmina Roloff, Marion Burry, William Lockridge. These individuals paid. Philip Purnell, Katie Shepherd, I can name a couple of them. They paved the way for us. And what we're not going to do is drop the ball to make it seem like Ward 8 ain't got it under control. We've been headed under control. We were just believing in something to take us somewhere, and we didn't get there yet, but we're getting there. Write me in. I am your friend, and I shall win. Thank you, Ward 8. I'm Olivia Henderson.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for our Ward 8 council candidates. As I said, that is all our time. Remember to get out on November 5th and vote, and read WashingtonCityPaper.com.
Yes, may we have a round of applause for Alex Combs, our moderator. He was absolutely wonderful.
quite informed. Okay, before we adjourn, we always adjourn with prayer. Excuse me, we always adjourn with prayer. Nay, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you said you're a Christian, right? Okay, well, pray us out.
All right, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for fellowship. We thank you for being with each other. Thank you for these, for the AARP and bringing people together in order to seek wisdom, seek knowledge, seek truth. Pray that your will be done with our lives, and that your will be done before in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you everyone for joining us. And please remember, Congress Heights Senior Wellness Center is open to DC residents 60 and over. Come and check us out. Come join the center. We're located at 3500 Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue, Washington, DC, Southeast. As well, you can call 202-563-7225 for more membership information. Thank you.